Hello again, Steve here with a few comments on what I'm going to call the Holy Trinity, what makes us who we are. And I'm going to say that from what I've heard, for the most part, it's more along the lines of a binity, if there is such a word, two parts that make us up, nature and nurture. We've heard a lot about that, right? The debate sometimes goes on, is it mostly nature, is it mostly nurture? There's a lot to be said for epigenetics now, which proves, I think, begins to prove or gives sort of evidence towards the nurture side of things. And both of these, I would say, are deterministic in nature, right? I mean, you've probably heard of the two sides of a coin of how it is that we can exist, whether it's free will or deterministic. In other words, is something predestined to happen, or do we direct our lives, right? So the nature part of us, and I would submit the nurture side of us as well, is deterministic. It's not free will, right? At least not conscious free will, which, if it's not conscious, I don't see how it's free will. So it's not free will. Like our nature, how many people choose their parents and where it is in the world they want to be born? Some people say so, but come on. I think it's nonsense. I think we don't have any conscious input into it, so we don't have any input into it. And even the nurture side of it, especially the formative years of nurture, well, that's what that is, right? It's the early days when we didn't have any sort of determined or free will input. What language we were taught, what food we ate, how we were raised, whether or not we were circumcised, what schools we went to, and so on. This was all determined for us. So this was nurture. Both of those are deterministic. So what am I going to say is the third aspect? So the debate is nurture or nature. I'm going to say there's a third, which is free will, right? Because, well, I'm going to say that my take on it is, if you believe in origins, right, that if we are created, then there has to be something or some law or some science or some process that creates us. We can call that creator. Some people call that God, whatever it is. So the nature side of us, I would say, is that, right? And the nurture side of us is our culture, our community, our parents, other people. Basically, it's man, right? So nature is God, nurture is man, and free will is self-directed. I can decide right at this moment to get up and go walk towards that screen door. I could. That's free will. The fact that I'm here now, I didn't create myself. That's nature. And the language that I'm speaking, that's nurture. I never actually have any recollection of learning this language. None. It just was my surroundings at the time, what I understood, what I heard. I mimicked it, and I didn't consciously do it. Very deterministic. But the free will, that's a huge one. So my take on all this is, to learn about the nature and to learn about the nurture, but there's no sense grumbling about it, because we didn't have any input. That was determined. No input, really. The free will is where, if we really want to make a difference in our lives in terms of our quality of life going forward, my guess is that's where we got to put our efforts. In how we see things, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves, how we feed ourselves, the health care practice, the well-being practice that we put into our lives, our education, all that sort of thing, gives us us plus, right? We can grow ourselves in terms of our intellectual capacities, our wisdom, our fitness level, our ability to relate to others, our communication abilities. All of these and more, our professional lives. All this can be developed as a result of making choices. And that's what, for me anyways, free will comes down to. The starting point anyways, the choice, and then the actions that follow up on that. That has to do with self. I mean, it's all tied in. You know, self is man. Man comes from whatever creates man. So it's all related. But at the end, there's that individual choice that we can make as rational beings who are moral agents. So I think it's important to remember that. I mean, maybe there's more to it than that. But as I see it, there is definitely nature to us. There is nurture to us, for sure. But those are largely just, we ended up with them, right? So at the end of it all, there's also the free will that makes us up, makes us who we are as characters in life. And we can mold that. It's never too late to teach an old dog to do tricks, especially when that old dog is us. Moral agents with a free will. A few comments then again on improving the quality of our life experience. The Holy Trinity, what makes us. Nature, nurture, and free will. Steve here again, great chatting. Talk again soon.